Welcome back to the deep dive. I'm genuinely thrilled about what we're diving into
I
today.
too, this is rich territory.
Absolutely. If you've ever found yourself, drawn to those epic tales of gods, giants, the cosmos,
Yeah,
then you're definitely in the right place.
for sure. It's captivating stuff.
We're not just skimming the surface here. We are plunging head first into the vast, really captivating world of Germanic and Norse mythology.
A deep dive indeed.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission, like always, is to take this stack of incredible sources, all your articles, the research, our notes, and really distill the most profound insights. We're focusing on three huge pillars: Odin, Thor, and the amazing Yggdrasil.
The big three, really.
Right. We want to cut through all the noise, the sheer volume of info, and pull out those essential nuggets of knowledge. The goal is you walk away feeling truly well-informed, like you've got a real handle on it, without being overwhelmed.
Which is easy to do with mythology.
Oh, definitely. And what we're exploring today, it's not just, old stories. We're looking at a belief system that genuinely shaped entire societies across Northern Europe. And it's surprising how it still echoes today.
It really does. And what's fascinating here is how these figures, Odin, Thor, Yggdrasil, there's so much more than just characters in old stories.
More than meets the eye.
Way more. They are deep, intricate reflections of how a whole group of people understood life, death, destiny, everything.
Wow.
We're going to zoom in on a really critical time, roughly 500 BCE to about 800 CE. This is when these beliefs really solidified, became the bedrock of a culture.
So the formative years, basically.
Exactly. And these myths, they give us this incredible window into their worldview. We get clues about their ethics, their social structures, even like their politics.
It's all woven together.
It is. It's a testament to how powerful stories can be, how beliefs just permeate everything in a society.
That's a brilliant way to put it. So, okay, let's start mapping this out, the broad landscape of these myths.
Where do we even begin? It's vast.
It is. When we talk about Germanic and Norse mythology, we're not talking about just one single culture, right?
No, not at all. It's a widespread.
Across Northern Europe, different peoples, but definitely interconnected. Think Scandinavia, parts of Germany, even influences reaching Britain.
All drawing from a similar ancient wellspring of ideas, but with regional flavors, you could say.
Yeah, exactly. And how these stories were passed down. That's amazing in itself. For centuries, it was mostly oral tradition.
Just spoken word, stories told around the fire, poems recited.
Right, and these weren't just like fairy tales. They were embedded in rituals and ceremonies and epic poems, central to life.
Deeply ingrained.
It was only later, mainly during the Viking Age and after, that we start seeing written records, like the Eddas we'll get into.
Which are crucial for us now, obviously.
Absolutely. They started capturing and preserving these incredible stories. And that key period you mentioned, 500 BCE to 800 CE.
Yeah, that was pivotal.
It really was. Society structures were being shaped, religious beliefs crystallized, their whole understanding of the universe formed.
It makes you think, doesn't it? How does a society encode its deepest values? Not just in laws, but in its myths.
Yeah, how does it tell itself who it is?
Exactly. That's the core question. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, these main characters we're looking at, Odin, Thor, Yggdrasil, they aren't just names in a list of gods.
They're more symbolic.
They're direct expressions of the social structure itself. Think about their relationship with nature, crucial for survival back then.
Right, and their ideas about life and death, especially in a culture valuing honor and bravery so much.
Precisely. So studying them, we get these invaluable clues about their whole worldview, like Valhalla, the warrior paradise.
Yeah.
The very idea tells you loads about how much they valued bravery, how dying in battle was seen as, well, the ultimate honorable end.
The path to glory.
Definitely. We can figure out their ethics, what was just, what was honorable, their ideals about heroes, even their politics. Odin, for example.
The Allfather.
Yeah, he embodies a kind of leadership that's not just about power, but also wisdom, strategy, often demanding sacrifice for insight. So these figures, they give us more than just good stories. They provide a framework, a real blueprint for understanding these complex ancient societies.
A guide for living almost.
A guide for living and dying, and for understanding their collective identity. They were the fabric of meaning for them.
Speaking of frameworks, let's shift to maybe the biggest framework of all in their cosmology. Yggdrasil.
The world tree. Absolutely central.
It really is. It's introduced as this colossal sacred tree. And it doesn't just stand there. It literally sustains the entire universe.
It's the cosmic axis.
Yeah, think less like a regular tree, more like a blueprint for existence. The spine holding everything together, linking all the different realms.
And its name is fascinating, too.
Right. Odin's horse, often.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? A tree is a steed.
Well, it suggests movement, connection, right? A way to travel between the worlds. Or maybe something that upholds, that carries the weight of the gods, of existence itself. It's evocative.
It really is. And here's where it gets really interesting. The worlds it connects. So many of them.
Yes, Yggdrasil is the central pillar linking what the myths describe as 9 distinct worlds. And these aren't just places. They're realms with their own character, inhabitants, significance, all held together by this massive tree.
Okay, so walk us through them. 9 is a lot.
Let's do it. So right at the top, you've got Asgard. Think of it as the high realm, fortified, majestic. It's the home of the Aesir gods, Odin, Thor, folks like that. Realm of order, divine power.
Got it. The penthouse suite.
Huh. Sort of.
Hmm.
Then, connected by that famous rainbow bridge, Bifrost, is Midgard.
That's us, right? Humanity.
That's us. Our world, the realm of humans, seen as being in the middle, often surrounded by a great ocean where a giant serpent lives.
Jormungandr. Always love that name.
Me too. Midgard is the place of creation, earthly life. Then beyond us is Jotunheim.
The land of the giants.
Exactly. But not just big people. They represent primal forces, chaos, wilderness, destruction. They're often the opposition to the god's order.
The constant threat.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Then you go deeper into the cosmology. You find Niflheim. This is primordial stuff. Mist, ice, cold. One of the original realms, representing like ultimate cold and darkness.
Okay, primal cold. Is there a primal heat?
There is. Its counterpart, Muspelheim. A blazing world of fire, intense heat, light. Home to the fire giants. And the big one, Surt, who plays a massive role at the end of things. Represents creation through heat, but also destruction.
Fire and ice. Classic. What else?
Then there's Vanaheim. This is home to the other group of gods, the Vanir.
Ah, right. Not the Aesir.
Correct. The Vanir are more associated with fertility, wisdom, prophecy, nature.
Yeah.
Maybe a more ancient connection to the earth and magic.
Interesting distinction. Keep going.
Okay, then Alfheim. The world of the light elves. Usually depicted as beautiful, graceful, magical beings. Associated with light, inspiration.
Sounds nice.
Compared to Svartalfheim, this is underground. Home of the dwarves, or sometimes called dark elves. Master craftsmen, smiths living in caves. They made a lot of the gods' best gear.
Like Thor's hammer?
Possibly. Many amazing artifacts came from them. And finally, there's Helheim.
Sounds ominous.
It is. The cold, shadowy world of the dead. But specifically for those who didn't die gloriously in battle. Ruled by Loki's daughter, Hel. It's the resting place for the unheroic dead.
So 9 very different realms, all linked by this one tree.
Exactly. And the roots of Yggdrasil dig deep into these worlds. It symbolizes this continuous cycle, vitality, death, rebirth. It really hammers home the cyclical nature of Norse thought. Life and death aren't endpoints. They're phases in a constant grand process.
Always turning.
Always turning, rejuvenating, transforming. And the creatures living on Yggdrasil, they're incredibly symbolic too.
Right. There's animals living in the tree itself.
Oh, yes. They embody the universe's complexity, its constant energy. You've got Nidhogg.
Or dragon or serpent.
Yeah, a huge serpent down at the roots, constantly gnawing away. Represents decay, destruction, a constant threat. But even that's part of the life cycle.
Paradoxical.
Very. Then there are 4 stags, Dane, Dvalin, Dunur, and Jarathra, roaming the branches, eating the leaves. Again, part of that cycle of consumption and renewal. Growth and decay in balance.
Okay.
Way up at the top, there's an eagle. Unnamed, but watching everything. Symbolizes wisdom, foresight, maybe the higher perspective.
An eagle and a serpent. Classic conflict.
And mediating between them, or maybe stirring the pot, is Ratatoskr, the squirrel.
The squirrel, seriously.
Seriously. He scurries up and down the trunk, carrying insults back and forth between the eagle and Nidhogg, maintaining tension, carrying messages.
Cosmic gossip.
Basically, it shows the constant interaction, the tensions, even the pettiness that exists within the cosmic order.
Yeah.
It's not static, it's vibrant, always changing.
Wow. So Yggdrasil isn't just holding things up.
Not at all. It's a spiritual axis. It's where the gods gather, like a cosmic meeting place, to discuss fate, make decisions, guide the universe's flow. It's both the symbol and the source of existence.
And this whole structure, these layers, It reflects a worldview where the gods are involved everywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Affecting humans, nature, cosmic forces, sometimes clashing, sometimes cooperating, all part of this intricate dance to maintain balance between order and chaos.
It makes you see the universe as this single living thing.
Precisely. A breathing, interconnected organism,
Yeah.
where the health of one part affects the whole. It's a remarkably holistic vision for an ancient civilization.
That interconnectedness is so vivid, incredible. Now let's turn to, well, the boss, Odin, the All-Father.
Odin, yeah, immensely complex, powerful, definitely not straightforward.
And he has other names too, right? Woden and Ten.
Yes, those are his Germanic names. And what's really deep is his linguistic connection way back to other major sky and wisdom gods in other Indo-European cultures, like Varuna in India, maybe even Zeus in Greece. It shows how ancient this archetype is.
Wow. So he goes way back.
Mm.
And his image, usually the long beard, the hat or hood, and the one eye.
The one eye is key. That story is maybe the most defining one for him, the sacrifice.
He gave up his eye. Willingly. How? Why?
Willingly plunged it into Mimir's well, the well of wisdom, in exchange for a drink from it for profound cosmic knowledge.
That's intense, giving up physical sight for inner sight.
Exactly. It's not just about learning stuff. It's about radical transformation.
Yeah.
It suggests that true wisdom, deep insight, it comes at a heavy price. It challenges how we even perceive reality.
So this drive for knowledge, these sacrifices, how does that shape his roles? He seems to wear a lot of hats.
Oh, he does. His roles are incredibly varied, reflecting the complexities of the Norse world. First and foremost, there's that unending quest for wisdom and knowledge.
Core drive.
Absolutely. He's always pushing, always sacrificing to uncover the deepest secrets. And his ravens, Hugin and Munin,
Thought and memory.
right, they aren't just pets. They fly out across all 9 worlds every day, see everything, hear everything, and report back to him. They're like extensions of his own mind, his personal intelligence network spanning the cosmos.
Wow. So he's always gathering intel.
Constantly. Secondly, he's a major god of war and death. But it's complex.
How so?
He influences battles, yes, can sway the outcome, but he also presides over the afterlife, for heroes slain in combat. He chooses them, leads their souls, the Einherjar, to Valhalla.
The Great Hall in Asgard.
Exactly. And Valhalla isn't just a reward, it's a training ground. They feast and fight all day, every day, getting ready for Ragnarok, the final battle.
So even the afterlife is about preparing for war.
It tells you everything about the warrior ethos. His influence is strategic, almost spiritual. He inspires courage, but also decides who falls and joins his chosen host.
Okay, wisdom seeker, war god. What else?
Third, and this is really intriguing, he has a deep shamanic and magical aspect. He's strongly linked to Cedar.
Cedar. What's that?
It's a powerful kind of magic, often associated with prophecy, altering fate, communing with spirits. Interestingly, in Viking society, it was often seen as, well, unmanly for men to practice. It was more women's magic.
But Odin, the All-Father, the warrior god, he mastered it.
He did, which shows his willingness to cross boundaries, define norms, embrace all forms of knowledge, no matter the social cost. It highlights his connection to the mystical, the unseen forces. He could see the future, manipulate events, makes him truly formidable.
Breaking the rules for power and knowledge.
Seems so. And finally, he's the protector of heroes and kings. The deity of leadership, royalty, heroic ideals. Viking kings often claimed descent from him, used his authority to legitimize their rule. Warriors look to him for strength, inspiration.
So he covers the elite, the mystical, the strategic.
Exactly. And these roles come alive in the myths. The most famous, perhaps, is his hanging on Yggdrasil.
He hung himself on the world tree.
There are 9 days and 9 nights,
Yeah.
pierced by his own spear, sacrificing himself to himself, essentially, an excruciating ordeal.
Why would he do that?
To gain the secrets of the runes. It's the ultimate story about the cost of knowledge, transcending limits, enduring suffering, embracing death itself to gain cosmic understanding and rebirth into wisdom.
Mind-blowing.
It is. Then, in sacred wars, he's often depicted as invisibly guiding soldiers, deciding fates on the battlefield, picking the heroes for Valhalla. Imagine fighting, believing Odin himself is watching, choosing.
That would definitely fuel your courage. Or terror.
Both, probably. And of course, the discovery of the runes. They aren't just letters. They're sacred symbols, magical tools, a gift from Odin after his ordeal. Used for divination, protection, magic. He's the source of this hidden, powerful knowledge.
So, tying it all together, what does Odin tell us about their values?
It shows a huge value placed on wisdom, cunning, strategy, courage facing destiny, and a deep belief in the spiritual realm shaping reality. He embodies a society that respected deep thought, strategic leadership, and the willingness to pay any price for understanding, especially when fate looms large.
What an incredibly dense, almost intimidating figure. He's definitely the intellectual, mystical side of things. Which brings us perfectly to Thor.
Ah, Thor, yes. Often Odin's son, but very much his own god.
Yeah.
Equally vital, maybe more popular.
More popular, you think?
Arguably, yeah. Especially with the common folk. His name tells you a lot straight away, linked to Donar in German, and our word thunder.
Right. God of thunder, storms,
Drr.
raw power.
Exactly. And in daily Viking life, he was immensely important, the protector of farmers, warriors, ordinary people. Where Odin might be the god of kings and poets, Thor was the people's champion. Much more accessible.
So less mystical, more hands-on.
Very hands-on. His whole deal is actively combating chaos, relentlessly defending the established order.
Okay, tell us about that. How does he do it?
Well, his primary role is upholder of order. His main job, you could say, is fighting the forces trying to mess things up, especially the giants.
Back to Jotunheim.
Exactly. The giants represent chaos, destruction, the wild threats to the ordered world. And while Odin uses wisdom, cunning, sometimes manipulation, Thor uses strength. Direct, undeniable, immediate force.
Enter the hammer.
Enter Mjolnir, his iconic hammer. It's not just a weapon, though it's terrifyingly effective at smashing giants and leveling mountains.
What else is it?
It's a sacred, protective symbol, a tool for consecration. It was used in rituals to bless marriages, to make land sacred, to validate oaths, to ward off evil. Its power is protective as much as destructive.
So people wore symbols of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those little Mjolnir amulets are found everywhere in Viking archaeology. People wore them for personal protection. It shows how widespread his veneration was. And it's tied directly to storms, thunder, lightning. It strikes echo through the sky.
Does he have other gear?
He does. He has his famous chariot pulled by two goats, Tongrisnir and Tangjostr. It's the sound of that rumbling across the sky that makes thunder.
Goats pulling the thunder chariot. I love it.
It's great, isn't it? He also has a belt of strength, Meginjura, which literally doubles his already immense power, and iron gloves, Jarngreipur, so he can handle the sheer power of Mjolnir. He's geared up for defense.
Ready for anything. And his stories mostly involve fighting giants.
Almost always. His journeys to Jotunheim are legendary. He's constantly going there, engaging in contests, battles, feats of strength, shows his courage, his power, sometimes even his bluntness. Though sometimes he gets tricked, like by Utgard Loki.
Right, where things aren't what they seem.
Exactly. Even his failures there show the scale of the forces he's up against. But these trips aren't random brawls. They underscore his fundamental duty. Guardian of order, pushing back chaos.
Any specific famous story?
The theft of Mjolnir is a classic. Giants steal the hammer, demand the goddess Freyja as ransom. Thor, hilariously disguised as Freyja, with Loki as his bridesmaid, goes to get it back.
He dressed up as Freyja.
He did. It's played for laughs, but the core is serious. It symbolizes order triumphing over chaos, restoring balance when the ultimate protective tool is lost. He'll even endure humiliation to keep the cosmos safe.
So his main job is?
His fundamental duty is world guardian. Prevent the universe from falling apart. He's the primary defense against chaos. Constant vigilance, unyielding strength.
So when you contrast him with Odin...
It's stark, isn't it? Thor is direct action, physical power, immediate protection. Tangible security, swift justice. Odin is strategy, hidden knowledge, fate, the abstract, long-term threats.
Two sides of the same coin, almost.
Exactly. Complementary. Both essential for the world's survival. One guards the present, the other navigates destiny and deep wisdom. You need both.
It's truly fascinating, yeah, how Odin and Thor, they're so different, but they fit together perfectly, don't they?
They really do. Like two essential functions.
Odin, yeah, with the one eye, the ravens.
Yes.
He's the abstract, the mystic, wisdom, fate, death secrets, those unseen forces.
The deep, sometimes unsettling stuff.
Right. And Thor is just, bam, concrete strength, visible protection, keeping order right here, right now.
Boots on the ground, like you said.
Yeah. So how did these different styles, these archetypes, speak to different people or needs within Viking society? I mean, does that apply even now?
I think it does. And it certainly did then. This divine duo, they definitely addressed different but equally vital societal needs. It wasn't random.
Okay, break that down. Who prayed to Odin versus Thor?
Well, Odin, with his focus on wisdom, war strategy, magic like cedar,
Yeah.
he naturally appealed more to the leaders, the kings, the jarls, the elite warriors planning campaigns. Also the skalds, the poets, the lore keepers, and the mystics.
People dealing with strategy, fate, hidden knowledge.
Exactly. They sought deeper understanding, an edge in battle, insight into the future. His realm was more intellectual, philosophical, maybe more about leadership and destiny. Kings claiming descent from him, warriors praying for glory and Valhalla.
So the top tier, in a way.
Often, yes. Thor, though, he connected much more broadly with the everyday worries of the common folk.
The farmers, sailors.
Farmers, seafarers, homesteaders, the regular warriors. His rituals, the prayers to him, they were often about very practical things. Protection from storms, huge for farmers and sailors. Protection from giants, who might represent natural disasters or just, bad luck. Good harvest, general well-being.
So Odin for victory and prophecy, Thor for safety and prosperity.
That's a good way to put it. Odin for the big picture, the fate of battles. Thor for the immediate safety of your family, your crops, your journey. Those Mjolnir amulets we mentioned, worn by everyone. That shows his direct personal connection.
He felt closer, maybe?
Definitely. Thor was seen as much more accessible, a powerful, maybe even comforting presence nearby, relatable in his anger, his directness. Odin, he was more mystical, sometimes seen as fickle, even fearsome, respected, especially by the elite, but maybe less approachable.
More demanding.
More demanding, perhaps associated with sacrifice and darker wisdom. This split really reflects the reality of Viking society, its hierarchy, its practical needs, different gods for different roles, different people.
But together, they covered everything.
Exactly. It wasn't about who was better. Together, Odin and Thor provided a complete spiritual toolkit, from the grand cosmic struggles down to the daily grind, meaning and guidance for everyone, king or farmer.
That really paints a full picture. Okay, let's loop back to Yggdrasil one more time. We've talked about its structure, the worlds, the creatures, but let's dive deeper into its philosophical meaning.
Right. It's more than just cosmic geography.
Way more. You said it connects the 9 worlds, teeming with life, constant activity, but the big takeaway, maybe, is that it's not just a tree. It's a metaphor for existence itself.
The powerful one.
Representing that whole cycle. Life, death, rebirth. Not a straight line, but a continuous flow, constantly turning.
And interconnectedness.
Totally. And what struck me was what you said about its health being tied to the universe's health. If Yggdrasil gets sick.
It foreshadows Ragnarok, the end times, yes.
So, struggle, decay, they weren't seen as just negative. They were part of the system.
Absolutely essential parts of a vibrant, dynamic existence. Not failure, but process.
Wow. Okay, so philosophically, what else does Yggdrasil embody? Fate, nature.
Both. Deeply. It's central to their concept of fate, or weird. The gods themselves meet daily at Yggdrasil, specifically at the Will of Erd, to discuss fate, make judgments. Even they seem bound by this larger cosmic destiny the tree represents.
So fate isn't just for humans.
Not at all. It encompasses everyone, even the gods, and living right there at the roots, by that well, are the Norns.
The 3 sisters of fate.
Erd, Verdandi, and
Yeah.
Skuld, yes. They are said to weave the tapestry of destiny, past, present, future for everyone, gods included. They carve fates into the tree trunk.
So destiny is literally written into the fabric of existence.
It is, which shows the dual nature again. Existence is determined, part of a cosmic plan, yet it's also fluid, constantly being woven, constantly changing. Even the gods can't escape what the Norns decree.
That's a heavy concept. What about nature?
Yggdrasil is the ultimate symbol of nature's balance and continuous transformation, those springs emerging from its roots. They feed life itself, the rivers and the realms, like Mimir, Tvergelmir.
Sources of life?
Exactly. And all those creatures living in it, nidhogg gnawing, stags grazing, eagles soaring, Retatoskart shattering, they show nature's complexity. The interplay of creation and destruction, predator and prey, balance and tension.
The whole ecosystem in one tree.
Precisely. The fact it's constantly being consumed, yet constantly nourished and growing, reflects a profound understanding of ecology. Growth, decay, renewal, it's all one cycle.
So, summing up Yggdrasil's deeper meaning.
It's about interconnectedness, everything linked. It's about destiny lives woven into a grand, dynamic narrative. And it's about a deep ecological awareness, seeing the universe as a living, interdependent organism.
Where the health of the whole relies on the health of every part.
Exactly. A really holistic, powerful worldview. Still relevant today when you think about complex systems.
It really is. It's amazing how complete this picture is. Which brings up the question, how do we even know all this stuff? How did these incredible myths survive for us to, deep dive into them now?
Good question. It's not like they just floated down through time.
Right. These aren't just vague legends. They were preserved, thankfully.
Very thankfully. Our understanding comes mainly from 2 streams. Rich, written works, often compiled later but based on older stuff, and physical, archaeological evidence that backs it up.
Okay, tell us about the written sources first, the big ones.
The absolute most crucial are the Eddas from Iceland. First, the Poetic Edda.
Poetic. So poems.
Exactly. A collection of anonymous mythological poems, probably put together in the 13th century, but the poems themselves feel much older, coming from oral tradition. They give us incredibly rich, detailed stories about Odin, Thor, Yggdrasil, Ragnarok, the raw, powerful, poetic versions.
Like hearing the original sagas.
Feels like it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Then, maybe even more important for understanding it all, is the Prose Edda.
Prose, so not poems this time.
Right. Written by Snorri Sturluson, a scholar and chieftain around 1220. This book is gold because Snorri doesn't just retell the myths, he explains them. He provides interpretations, context, sort of system for understanding the cosmology, the gods, even the complex poetic language they used.
He was organizing it.
Yeah, Snorri was a Christian, but he wanted to preserve this pagan lore, partly for future poets who needed to understand the old references. His work gives us invaluable structure and interpretation.
Are there other writings?
Oh, yes. Various other sagas and historical records. Things like Heimskringla, which tells the history of Norwegian kings, or family sagas like Eagle's Saga. They often mention the gods, rituals, beliefs within the context of Viking life and history. They show how these myths were part of their society.
So we have the stories and the context. What about physical proof?
That's where archaeology comes in, and it's fascinating how it lines up. We find actual figurines of Odin and Thor.
Really? Like little statues?
Sometimes small amulets, sometimes carvings on stones, things found in graves. Odin with one eye or with his ravens, Thor with Mjolnir. These show people were actually wearing these images, using them in daily life for protection or reverence.
Tangible proof of belief.
Exactly. And we also find the Dresel symbols, cosmic tree motifs, showing up in their art, on carved wooden items, on big picture stones like the ones from Gotland. Visual confirmation that this tree was central to how they saw the cosmos.
So the myths and the archaeology support each other.
Beautifully. You have the oral tradition feeding into the written records, and then the material culture, the physical objects, backing it all up. It gives us a really robust, multi-layered picture.
Allows us to piece it together pretty well.
Remarkably well. And the fact these myths survived, even through Christianization in these different forms, it just speaks volumes about how deeply significant they were, how resilient. That's why they still grab us today.
What an incredible journey we've taken today. Seriously. From the cosmic tree, Yggdrasil, holding everything together,
The blueprint.
to those two powerhouses, Odin and Thor, the
Mhm.
mystic strategist and the direct protector.
The perfect complex duo.
We've really unpacked how these figures are so much more than just characters and stories. They were fundamental to how these early Northern European societies saw their universe, their relationship with nature, with death, how they structured their world.
Absolute key to their entire worldview.
And it's fascinating, isn't it, how these myths just keep echoing. In modern books, movies, games, we see Odin and Thor everywhere.
They have enduring archetypal power.
They really do. But hopefully after this deep dive, understanding their original context gives them, much more depth. It's not just superheroes.
Exactly. Knowing the roots makes the modern versions richer, or at least lets you see them differently.
Right. So the big question then, for you listening, what does this all mean? As you navigate your own world, your own sense of purpose, power, the forces shaping your reality.
It does make you reflect. And this raises an important question, I think. If these ancient myths were such a complete guide shaping ethics, heroism, politics, their whole understanding of life and death, what stories or systems fill that role for us today? What contemporary beliefs guide our understanding of the universe and our place in it?
That's a deep one.
What are our modern Yggdrasils, the frameworks we rely on? Who are our Odins and Thors, the figures or ideas we look to for wisdom, for order, for protection?
What gives us meaning and structure now?
Exactly. Maybe that's something for everyone to ponder as you continue your own deep dive into myth, belief, and how they shape us then and now.